All right, guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of This Week in Security. Surprisingly, no earth-shattering news this week in security, but as always, there are some interesting bits of information out there to go ahead and share with you guys. So let's get straight into it. We talk all the time about how hackers are very opportunistic and they tend to follow the trends when it comes to phishing and stuff like that, just because it's the most lucrative way to go. And, what's coming up right now? Well, it's tax season for a lot of people. And so now you'll start to see some tax scams going on out there. This particular one that happened this past week is involving some mobile, targeting some mobile users, interestingly enough. And basically it was like a text message-based scam. Mostly they're seeing this in the UK, but it's pretty likely that there'll be some in the US as well as we get underway with tax season coming up. And so basically, it just through one of those text messages where it gives you a link and it actually looks believable. That's the thing you'll notice. A lot of people try to say that and believe, believe that some of these scams are pretty easy to notice, but at the same time, a lot of these scams are starting to be very believable with how they appear and just looking legitimate, and it might be very hard to tell sometimes whether something's a fake or a scam or legitimate or whatever, right? So, but there are some tells in this case here, right? Basically with domains and stuff, always pay attention to the domain. And I'm not going to go through the full list with you guys. You know, most likely the stuff you need to look for. But sorry, I do apologize if this is a little bit small. Let me make it larger for you guys. But these phishing attacks are going to start happening more as these attackers are very opportunistic with what's happening. So just be extra careful if you see anything about tax. Generally, I just assume if someone's sending me a text message from a number I don't recognize, I just assume it's a scam personally. What are your guys' strategies? Let me know down in the comment section below. But typically, if I get a text message from someone that I'm not, that I don't know them, right, and they send me a link, right? I mean, that would set off a ton of alarms in my head automatically. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, so that's going on. And this one I found pretty interesting, right? Some of you guys might be chess players out here. I think it follows with security. If you'd probably be drawn to a logical game like chess, right? Well, chess.com actually had some kind of breach allowing 50 million user records to be exposed, basically. So the reason I wanted to bring this one up is it really illustrates that point of think about how many accounts you have out on the internet, across all of the sites and apps you've ever signed up for, you've ever put your email address in and create a password for. Now imagine just one of those gets hacked, right? I don't even know how many accounts I've ever created in my lifetime on the internet. It has to be some ridiculous number, right? If any one of those gets hacked, my security is potentially at risk, right? Because here's the thing. This is especially why it's true that you should not reuse the same password. But let's be honest, when you have 1,000 accounts, right? You're not gonna use 1,000 different passwords. That's just not practical, right? So you're probably going to reuse some of the same passwords. My kind of advice is if it's something financial, or really sensitive, definitely use a unique password for that. But if it's something small that is and if it's your email, use a different password for your email, right? A unique password for that, right? Anything that's really mission critical, use a different password. But if it's just something like chess.com, you can reuse some passwords. Just understand the risk that you are introducing when you do that, right? Because here's one really bad case, right? Let's say that you use the same password for your email address as you used on chess.com, and chess.com got breached. Someone was able to then see your take over your account, and then they can see your password. Let's just say, I don't know if that's necessarily the case here, but let's just say they were able to obtain your password from here. the first thing they're going to do is try that password everywhere they can. And, most likely if they have your email address, they'll start there, try to log into your email with that same password. If they're able to get into your email, it's almost keys to the kingdom, because, a lot of these websites and stuff and applications have features that say, hey, I forgot my password. Oh, no problem. Let me email you a new temporary password, right? So they could actually hijack your other accounts just because of, for one, this one website that you had an account on got breached. And then secondly, you reused your password on your email or your, God willing, like your bank or something like that, right? So keep in mind, this is why it's important to think about these things and, understand the risk that you're really at. We have passwords and accounts everywhere, right? If only one of those gets hacked, we're potentially at risk in other areas as well. Because the best attackers, they don't just hack you one way, they pivot from there, right? They hack one thing and they pivot to other things. This is how the best hacks are pulled off, right? Like you hear all the time about, the attack originated at a point of sale system, and then they escalated to an employee system, and then they escalated to the admin, and then they took over the entire network, right? This is how this kind of stuff happens. Okay. So as a user, you got to be cognizant of this. And this was a great kind of scenario to illustrate that point. So we continue on here. I never heard of Yandex Mail, but I just thought more of the principle of what happened was pretty interesting, right? An employee caught selling access to users' email inboxes. Now, I think this also applies to if you use, Google for stuff, right? If you use, like, say, Gmail, use Google Drive, if you use Microsoft OneDrive, right? Anytime you're storing, whether it be emails or any kind of files, you're storing anything on a third-party site, the company itself might have the best of intentions. I mean, let's get one thing straight, right? The company could sell your information to advertisers and do all kinds of sketchy stuff like that, certainly. But there's the other part of the equation of where there could be some rogue employees of that company that might be snooping into your stuff. Because remember, you're storing your information on their servers. So if you're storing sensitive information on, some random third-party site like Yandex Mail, which I've never heard of, right? Or if you're storing it on the big tech giants, Google and all this stuff, well, there could be malicious employees on there, or, ones that are trying to make an extra buck or something like that, right? And your critical information, you shouldn't have had it on there to begin with, right? That's the risk that you're taking on. I think a lot of times people don't understand the risks, and that's why they do certain things. So it's really good to see things like this. It's not good to see this happen, obviously, right? But it's really a good lesson to learn, I guess I would say. Insider threats are big issues. That's actually one of the biggest issues that plagues these companies are insider threat. And obviously, there's pretty big repercussions for that, but this is the kind of stuff that can happen. So as a user, the way that you need to, what you need to gain from this is just to understand that if you're using third-party sites and stuff, which you're going to need to, I use third-party sites as well, just understand what the risk is, and maybe if it's something super sensitive or something that you wouldn't want anyone to be able to sell to others, for advertising or for whatever, just think about not putting it on there. So that's just a really good illustration of that, I would say there. It doesn't even have to be like the company got hacked or anything. If the threat's coming from the inside, there's all these threats that are automatically in effect just through insider threat. So. And then a really bullish article on what we do here on Elevate Security and what you guys are going for, which is elevating your skills in security. You're getting into this field. I really like this article. Vulnerabilities hit a record high. Obviously, one man's anguish is our victory, right? Yeah, it's bad that a lot of vulnerabilities are hitting companies and stuff, certainly. But it's good for us as as the security guys, right? We can be a part of history, right? We can lead the charge on something that's very important in 2021 here, right? Vulnerabilities hitting a record high, topping 18,000. And keep in mind, when they say vulnerabilities, these are only the vulnerabilities that were discovered and reported. There's so many other vulnerabilities out there that still exist as 0 days, or, you know, maybe they're out there on the black market, or maybe they haven't been discovered by anyone yet. And so this number would be a low projection, most certainly. So it really just speaks to the importance of what we do here, not only on my channel, but what we all do as, you know, security researchers, pen testers, red teamers. You know, it's a really important, it's a very important field. And if this sounds interesting to you, this cybersecurity stuff, there's never been a better time than now to get started on your cybersecurity journey, you know, elevating your skills. You're in the right place, most certainly. You know, even if you don't want to get directly into the offensive side like I am, you can do some vulnerability management, right? Biggest game of whack-a-mole facing the IT security profession today, right? They're in demand. They are in need of people that understand vulnerability management as well, that understand all these different angles of security, that understand the NIST framework, right? People that understand the technical side with hacking like we do here on this channel. But even if it's another area of cybersecurity that really interests you, whatever it is your duty to pursue that and to make it happen and, you know, just elevate security as a whole, right? So that's what we're all about on this channel. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it this time around. If you want to elevate your skills, if you're really looking to take your skills to the next level, check out my free notes down in the description below, and also the Absolute Beginner's Guide to Pen Testing. I'll go ahead and link that on the screen now. And be sure to subscribe for more similar content. Hit the like button to help get it out in the algorithms, and I will see you guys in the next video.